Hello and welcome back to another edition of the Kirby on Sports podcast. If you don't know me by now, my name is Josh Kirby. I'm the host and CEO of Kirby on Sports podcast, www.kirbyonsports.com. You can check out anything and everything the Kirby on Sports podcast on all streaming platforms and all social media platforms. Once again, we appreciate you tuning in. This is not a live stream podcast today, but you can find us on all streaming platforms and on our YouTube page for the video version as well. We are in Studio K today, and we're breaking down the AFC and NFC North and South divisions. It's going to be a lot of fun. You don't want to miss it. All coming up next, the Kirby on Sports podcast. Welcome once again to another edition of the Kirby on Sports podcast. We're covering the AFC and NFC North and South divisions, getting you set for football, which is just under 1 week away. Right here on the Kirby on Sports podcast, we're pumped. And we're even more pumped to introduce the co-host, once again, the weapon, Dan Dembski.
Look who it is. And
Dan
look where I am. We're in Studio K.
Yeah, Studio K.
Let's go. When is the last?
How you doing? How you doing?
I'm great, man. Hey, when is the last time we did a podcast from here? Can you remember?
Well, I'm not going to move my webcam, but right behind us there was a small little table and a mic arm you pulled out for tonight's episode, and
Brings back a lot of memories, right?
That's what we use.
That's it.
That's what we use.
As simple as that, yeah.
I mean, because the last time we redid like this whole basement, I think my basement studio, and you know, we're back. Studio K.
Studio K is rolling.
Hopefully we can get more of this going in the next couple of months. Maybe some the 3-man booth live streams watching a game too.
That would be really solid. That'd be really solid.
I mean, who knows? But Dan, it's great to be here with you.
Great to be here too, man.
Let's make it happen.
Let's do it.
AFC South. Let's dive in.
Let's roll.
Tennessee Titans. Looked good last year, 12-5. I really liked this team last year. I really think they have potential to try to make it back. Super Bowl, but you know, notable acquisitions. Robert Woods, he got traded from the Rams.
That's
Austin
a huge
Hooper.
pickup.
Yeah, I mean, Robert Woods right there. I mean, that's a weapon to give Ryan Tannehill right off the bat because you lost Julio Jones right there. So
you get to plug and play, and you could argue Woods has been better in recent seasons. Sorry, I'm eating ice right now. It's a bad idea to do that. But no, yeah, Julio, he kind of struggled in Tennessee a little bit. He didn't really fulfill his potential there. So you plug Robert Woods into that system, I think it's a brilliant job getting him on the squad. So, and yeah, the Titans definitely the team to beat. They were the team to beat last year in that division. I think it's going to stay that way this year because I think that there's still a lot. I just don't see any other team in that division that can compete right now. You know what I mean? Pretty much the other three teams are a mess.
Honestly,
maybe Indy. I mean, we'll talk about them. But
yeah. Honestly, I think Mike Vrabel does one hell of a great job.
He's a great coach. He's a great coach.
He's defensive minded, but his offense, it's pretty good as well. I think Ryan Tannehill's a good quarterback only if you put good pieces around him. Because we've seen Tannehill not do so well in years past.
Yeah.
He was with the Dolphins.
Didn't have much to work with there, though.
Not much to work with. If you give Tannehill some stuff to work with, like a weapon in Robert Woods, because Julio Jones is gone.
True.
Tight end Anthony Ferkster, he's also departed as well. So if you find good pieces to put around Tannehill to complement the defensive-minded head coach and Mike Vrabel, there's a really good shot there.
Not to mention, you still have Derrick Henry.
That is true.
Not to mention, you have one of the most feared backs in all of football there.
We're talking about the Titans, and we don't even bring up Derrick Henry till right now.
I mean, he literally he scares defenses. They fear him.
Absolutely.
So you have that combination, and like you said, having Robert Woods is huge. And getting Austin Hooper as well. You brought him up. Just really solid.
Austin Hooper has been a good tight end for a long amount of years in the league. So
and pretty solid
he's
defense.
A valuable tight end.
Yeah.
One of those. Like nothing too eye-popping like Travis Kelce, but he gets the job done.
Right. And I wouldn't say they're as loaded as some other teams in the AFC. Like they're not I mean, the Bills are the most loaded team in all of football, I think. Like they're the cream of the crop. Kansas City's up there too, although they have, like we talked about in our last episode, they are missing a little bit, obviously. Losing Tyreek Hill is probably the biggest loss to them. But the Titans are up there, man. They're putting, it seems like they're putting all their chips on the table. I know we've said that with a couple other teams, but I really like what they did in the offseason. I think they're just a really well-rounded team. And if Derrick Henry stays healthy and Ryan Tannehill can he doesn't even have to be elite. He just has to take care of the football. That's the biggest thing for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
This team is going to be a shoo-in for the playoffs. And my prediction is I think they could be this is a bold prediction. I think they could be a top 2 seed in the AFC.
I could see that
too. That's it's hard, right? Because you got Buffalo, you got Kansas City. Who else?
Depending
could you put
on
up
Buffalo and Kansas City.
Yeah.
Because I don't see Buffalo making a hiccup to drop, but I could see Kansas City possibly.
I could see that because they had some games last year where down the stretch where they struggled, so it could definitely happen. But this is a really, really good football team. I could see them making a run deep into the playoffs this year. I don't know if Super Bowl is. I mean, it's just hard to predict that now. We haven't even started the season yet. We still got another week, so things could change between now and then. Probably not, but it's a really, really well-rounded football team. I think they're going to be very, very tough to beat. So
that's the Tennessee Titans, 12-5, atop the AFC South last season. Let's talk next about the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah.
The Colts last year had Carson Wentz. He's now on the Commanders. We already talked about that, though, so we don't need to get into that.
Sure.
But let's talk about the Colts and their division rival, the Jacksonville Jaguars. The last game of the season, the Colts get in with a win.
Yeah.
And that does not happen.
Yeah.
And there are multiple question marks about Carson Wentz and this Colts team in general. And then Carson gets traded.
Yeah.
It seemed like nobody wanted Carson.
They didn't.
I would say. A lot of people are saying that. So, anyways, looking now, they have Matt Ryan and Nick Foles. I mean, Nick Foles may be an upgrade, Super Bowl champion, but he hasn't started in a while. Last time he started, he was with Chicago, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So,
and that didn't go well. Of course, I don't think any quarterback would do well with that in that system, but that's just me.
So, I mean, I'm not sure, like, if their quarterback room got better,
I think it
or
did.
worse.
Well, I think Matt Ryan's an upgrade, right? Because you get a guy who.
But how much more does Matt Ryan have in the tank?
He can give you 2 years. I think I really believe he can give you 2 years, and they're sort of a dark horse for me as a team that could sneak into the playoffs and cause some problems. I really do think the Colts could be in that situation. I think the reason why Matt Ryan is such an upgrade at that position, and he's a lot of people have him ranked down towards the bottom as far as NFL starters are concerned. But there's a million different rankings. There's a million different quarterback lists. You can look at all that stuff and come to your own conclusion. But he's coming into a situation where he had a decent offensive line, right? Decent weapons around him now. I mean, his last couple years in Atlanta, he didn't have anything, and his offensive line was abysmal, and he got beat up a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And for an older quarterback, I mean, he got slammed around. So I think this is a good situation. You come in and you get to hand the ball to Jonathan Taylor, who's one of the best backs in the NFL.
They need to give him the rock a lot this season.
They need to,
like they did last year.
They got to establish the run. That's got to be the first thing they do. Anytime you have a new quarterback, even a new quarterback on a team, a new system and stuff like that, even though Matt Ryan has been around the block, I think it's still important to focus on run first, especially with having Jonathan Taylor. Like, you have one of the best backs. Utilize him, right? Don't let his talents go to waste. But I think the Colts have a pretty decent roster. I mean, it's better than it has been in years past for them. Having Michael Pittman too was huge. And Mo Alley Cox has been a pretty solid
Mo Alley Cox.
tight end.
I love his story.
Yeah.
I love his story.
Definitely.
Every time. Because my brother went to VCU.
Mm-hmm.
He played basketball at VCU back in their prime. Now he's playing tight end for the Colts.
Just crazy. It's crazy how it works, man.
But
so
looking at the Colts here, they lost Marlon Mack, T.Y. Hilton, Zach Pascal.
Losing T.Y. Hilton's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if they can find another receiver, like another weapon for Matt Ryan, that would be good.
Could definitely see that.
Because T.Y. Hilton, I mean, I don't remember 100% how well he did last year, but I think he made an impact. I'm not sure how much of an impact, but I think he made a pretty decent impact. I'm not going to say he had like eye-popping, shattering numbers out there, but he does a pretty good job. So, I mean, if the Colts, like I said about the Titans, if the Colts can keep Matt Ryan healthy and put weapons around him.
Got to keep him upright. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, upright first and foremost. And you give him weapons, I think that's all you need. But I'm unsure. Yes, it's still early in the season, but I'm not sure if this team has what it takes to get back to the playoffs.
Well, you're going to have to see
on paper.
You're going to have to see Paris Campbell really step up this year.
Mm-hmm.
He's their second string receiver. He's been average since he came into the league in 2019. So he's got to step into that new role, because with T.Y. Hilton gone now, he's going to see a lot more action. He's going to play. He's going to start in every game as long as he's healthy. So watch out for him this year. I think he could be a breakout receiver in the league. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I think the Colts, like I said, Matt Ryan, this is a good situation for him. I think there was a lot of teams out there that wanted him. The Colts made the most sense to me, because you have a team that was on the cusp last year, like we talked about at the start here. All they have to do is beat Jacksonville, right? And they're in the playoffs last year. And, obviously they do what the Colts have done. And they do Carson Wentz does Carson Wentz things. Yeah. Sorry to throw your new quarterback under the bus.
Well, Carson Wentz gets to play the Commanders get to play Jacksonville week 1.
Payback time, right?
Could be.
Better hope so.
The losing streak on opening day for the Commanders it's like 9 games opening day. So
that's abysmal. Oh my God.
It's not in their favor, but
man. Yeah, I think the Colts could sneak in, but injuries are everything. You got to keep everybody healthy. And for the most part they've done a good job of that. They have a couple guys banged up now, but that happens. You're going to have guys that go down in the preseason. So it's just got to be about long-term. You got to keep those guys upright. You got to keep that offensive line healthy too. That's a huge thing. You got Ryan Kelly hurt right now, the starting center. questionable for week 1. So can't have that. You can't have that before the season starts. That you got your starting center already sitting out. But yeah, I think it's going to be a big season. And like we talked about with the Titans, you got to be able to run the football, right? You got an older quarterback. He's not going to be able to throw it 45 or 50 times a game. He's at that stage in his career where those days are gone. So establish the run, pound the rock, and then get the ball out there to Michael Pittman, Mo Alley Cox, pretty solid tight end. And I think the Colts will be fine. And defensively, we'll see what happens this year. I'd say they're probably a middle of the road group, just looking at the depth chart now and who they have. So it'll be an interesting season for them, though. Definitely very tough in the AFC in general. So you're really gonna have to beat some good football teams to have a chance to get into the postseason, no doubt.
The Indianapolis Colts a 9-8 record last year. I mean, yeah. Moving on here. I mean, what can we say about the Texans?
They're a mess. They had the worst offense last year.
Or the Jaguars.
They're even more of a mess.
I mean, between the two teams, I can say, just looking at Jacksonville, I think they have a slighter advantage because they have Doug Peterson, who's been in a Super Bowl. He's been removed from coaching, and this was the preseason. But I mean, you looked at their performance at the Hall of Fame game. It didn't look the best, but yet again,
it's Hall of Fame game. Yeah, preseason. First week of the preseason.
But I'll tell you.
Week 0, basically.
But I'll tell you, week 0 for them in the Hall of Fame game, their first round overall pick, Walker, he did pretty good.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if he gets some playing time for Jacksonville and gets in there and makes some plays.
I could see it.
But going back to Doug Peterson, I mean, he's been removed from coaching. He's back in. I think he could be the positive change that this Jacksonville Jaguars team needs, because last season it wasn't so much.
Got kicked in the shin is what they got by good old classy Urban Meyer. Can't stand that guy.
Who's now back on Fox.
He's back on Fox. Watch
How
out.
did that happen?
Watch your shins when he's around. Might get a giant bruise. Yeah, I don't understand how he got another job, but that's just me. But anyway, yeah, I agree with you. I think Doug Peterson's a great coach. He's proven that, and I think
beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl. What's better than that?
Right. Both of these teams. I mean, look, with the Texans now, you got Lovie Smith, right, coming in.
Jeez, Lovie Smith.
Lovie Smith is back.
No, but have you seen Lovie Smith back from the Bears when he was coaching the Bears to now?
Oh, his white beard.
Thick white beard.
Yeah, coaching the Bears ages you poorly.
Oh my gosh, man. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, it's I think he deserves a chance. People forget he took the Bears to the Super Bowl. They did get crushed, but that did happen. That was, people may not believe that, but that was about 16 years ago now. But yeah, I think it's nice to see him back in the NFL now, because he's been coaching college the last few years. I think he was at Illinois. I could be wrong.
Correct, Illinois.
But so it's good to see him back. But I do like Doug Peterson. I think he's a solid guy. He seems like a real player's coach. Like, he advocates for his guys, which is so key in today's NFL. Like, you don't want a guy like Urban Meyer that the transition from college to pro, if you've never done it before, is so difficult. And Urban Meyer showed that he was just not mature enough to handle that. So I think anything is an upgrade over him. Doug Peterson is a great choice for them. So it's not going to be immediate. Both these teams are going to, I think Carlos, even though he's not here, would agree that they're going to be fighting for the basement position in the division. I don't know who I'd give the advantage to. You know what I really like with Houston, though, is the way Davis Mills plays. He really, I mean, for all the crap that he got last year, I think he's pretty solid. Or he can be pretty solid. So they don't have much in the terms of receivers. I mean, they got Brandon Cooks is probably their go-to guy. Outside of that, I just don't see a whole lot on that offense. So it's very concerning. But Jacksonville's kind of the same way. I mean, you got Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne. You know,
Etienne from Clemson.
Yeah, those guys, teammates together at Clemson.
Etienne didn't even play last year. He was hurt.
That's right. Yeah.
So He played well for Clemson. If that injury from last year didn't affect him much, yeah, I can't wait to see how he plays because he played very well for Clemson.
It's going to be interesting to see how well they run block. Because Trevor Lawrence was welcome to the NFL a lot last year.
And they need
a lot of
to
big
protect
hits.
Lawrence.
You got to protect him.
They need to.
Anytime you get that franchise quarterback fresh out of college, you got to protect him. You know, you can't let him get killed 2 years in. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how both these teams fare. I really don't have a prediction. I think the talent, the
bottom two.
I think Jacksonville might have a slight advantage. I do think
I would
that.
say all because of Doug Peterson.
Yeah,
and a huge upgrade over Urban Meyer.
Even though I'd probably take Davis Mills as a better quarterback over Trevor Lawrence, but we don't know because Trevor Lawrence just didn't have much to work with last year, and he had, like you said, he had the tyrant who is Urban Meyer. So we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be interesting. I kind of want to watch these teams face off too. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, I want to see how they play in division. That's an interesting little thing to watch for as well. See if they beat up on each other because that definitely could be the case.
Well, that's the AFC South.
About that,
we broke it down top to bottom. It's so far so good. We're having fun right here.
It's a blast.
Studio K, the Kirby on Sports podcast. That's Dan. I'm Josh. We'll take a quick break, and when we come back, more previewing for you right here on the Kirby on Sports podcast. For sports fans living in condominium and homeowners associations, as well as business professionals, when you need a reserve study, PM Plus Reserves has been in business since 1990. Their studies are accurate and easy to understand. Check them out when your association needs a study. www.pmplusreserves.com. You can also contact them at 703-803-8436. Once again, www.pmplusreserves.com. Is it finally time to upgrade your home's interior? How about with an authentic farm table made locally from recycled barnwood? Shenandoah Primitives, based right here in Winchester, Virginia, makes farm tables, benches, tables, coffee tables, and a long list of other items for your home decorating needs. At Shenandoah Primitives, function and style are combined for great furniture that will last generations. If you're interested in combining the industrial look of metal with wood, or considering something incredibly unique with a live edge, Shenandoah Primitives turns those ideas into reality. Thinking about a mirror, wine rack, or other accent piece for your home, Shenandoah Primitives can assist with that as well. As a local small business, Shenandoah Primitives is happy to work with each client for a custom design or schedule an appointment to come out and view current inventory. Local, high-quality, handmade items can be found at Shenandoah Primitives. Find us on Facebook and Instagram or visit us at www.shenandoahprimitives.com. Once again, that's www.shenandoahprimitives.com. Studio K here, the Kirby on Sports podcast. That's the Weapon Dan Dembski, and I am Josh Kirby right here in studio. Forgot to mention we want touch on this long, but Carlos could not be with us today. Hopefully, all the best to Carlos, and we hope he's doing well right now. We do miss him, buddy. So, you the man, Swiss Army knife.
He's always there for us. Swiss Army knife.
The Swiss Army knife. All right, welcome back. We'll take a look at the NFC South.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. We got in a division with the Falcons, the Panthers, the Saints, and the Buccaneers. We'll start with the Buccaneers, and
got to start with the Bucs.
Got to start with the Bucs, and got to start with speculating why Tom Brady missed a portion of camp. And there's some stuff that came out that he might be in some hot water with his wife Giselle. Did you see that?
I've seen rumors and stuff. You don't know what to believe.
Yeah.
I'll say it's probably not. It's probably not a good sign that he retired for not even one day and then decided to come back. So I'm sure Giselle was looking forward to having him home, helping out with with all the stuff. Obviously he has kids and all that, and so that complicates things. But I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know how true the rumors are, but Tom Brady will be fine. Look, if he was in his second season, I might criticize him for this, or if he was a rookie, rightfully would deserve all the crap he could get.
Yeah.
But I don't have a problem with it because he's Tom Brady, right?
Mhm.
He's done everything a player could do at the highest level consistently, championships, the records. What else do you need to see from him? So I it really doesn't matter to me that he hasn't really participated much in camp. Plus, the last thing you want is for him to hurt himself, right? Or if he did play in the preseason, the last thing you want is for
Yeah.
him to get his leg rolled up on and boom, he's gone for the season.
Yeah.
So, because we saw that one time when he was in New England and the Pats missed the playoffs, even though they had a really good record that year. I think they
Yeah.
were 10-6. But anyway, I don't really have an issue with it. I know people do.
I don't either.
And people are there's a lot of memes out there that's like he looks more plastic surgery ish this year than he has in years past. Again, who knows? Who cares?
Tom
He's won everything. Give the guy a break.
Tom Brady's
What are
been
you gonna
been there, done that
many times?
many times.
It's not just once.
I mean, we shouldn't even be talking about Tom Brady because
We don't need to.
we can speculate. Is this Tom's last season? Will he have a down year? Will he regress? You throw those all out, and he just exceeds all expectations. And the Bucks might win another Super Bowl.
With this roster, you don't. The thing is, he could throw checkdowns on every play, and I think the Bucks could still win 13 games. This roster's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, the offense is loaded. They added Julio Jones, which I know we talked about a little bit. He kind of struggled in
That's crazy.
Tennessee. But this is a perfect, talk about a perfect landing spot for Julio Jones. You get to come to a team that's ready-made for a Super Bowl.
My father said this might be Julio Jones in a breakout year for him.
I agree. Yeah. Especially Chris Godwin's been shaken up. Shaken? He's been shook up during preseason. He's actually questionable for week 1. There's an MCL injury, so that's not something to mess with, especially when you're a receiver and you're constantly doing that motion. So, yeah, I think he could step in and just be the perfect target for Tom Brady.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I agree.
So it's they're loaded. They're the clear favorite in that division. I think they're probably my clear pick to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl right now. Although it is tough to say because you got to think about the Rams as well. I know we already touched on them, so there's not much to add. But
I would like
this roster is just really good.
I would like to touch on. You're saying the roster is really good, but there are some key pieces who left, some keys in Ndamukong Suh. I mean,
you can replace him.
He's up there in age.
You can
replaceable. Richard Sherman didn't do crap.
Same.
He's
replaceable.
He's out there with Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime now.
Check him out.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
They so I was texting the group chat and obviously I get a response. Nobody cares.
Who said that? Was that me or Carlos?
I think it was both of you, and you responded with a meme or something. But anyways, the national TV networks get like a dry run in a preseason game. Which is a good thing. So they say, "Oh, Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit are on Amazon Prime tonight for the game." I'm like, "Okay." So I turn on Amazon Prime. Granted, I've never watched anything live on Amazon Prime. And it was like halfway through the pregame, you can rewind backwards and forwards. And oh my God, it's like live TV. And it's so cool. But besides the point, I could go on for hours about just doing that. I did the pregame and just to see what on-air talent was there. Carissa Thompson left Fox for Prime.
Okay.
Richard Sherman,
Comes
Andrew Whitworth, who just retired, won a Super Bowl. It was funny though, because who was it? I think they were talking about somebody who I can't remember off the top of my head. Some
Crabtree.
No, some guy.
No. It's just
Whitworth of. Oh yeah, Tyron Smith. He goes down for Dallas, and Carissa Thompson asks him, like, Andrew, have you been getting a lot of phone calls or something?
Right.
And he had to like dodge the question because that was like considered league tampering.
Right.
Since the Rams still like own him, if you get what I'm saying. Anyways, I mean,
that's interesting stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyways, that whole broadcast was sort of interesting. But going back to my point, Richard Sherman was on the pregame show, and they were doing a segment on the 49ers because they were playing the Texans, a segment on Trent Williams and how good he was doing. Then they throw up a throwback clip from the wild card game where the Redskins played the Seahawks and fell to the Seahawks, obviously, at FedEx Field. And Trent Williams, big and buff, and had his helmet on. Richard Sherman goes up, and apparently Trent said something to him, and Richard had his helmet off. And
I remember this.
Yeah, and he like
got in his face and stuff.
Yeah, and like swatted Trent Williams with his helmet on, like tried punching him. Trent like just took his hand, stuffed it right there, and like stuck one of his fingers up his nose, and over like
they had that clip ready to go.
Yeah, they had that clip, and Richard just started laughing. I was like, "Oh my gosh!"
But, yeah, man. I'll tell you what. It's Richard Sherman thought he could intimidate anybody, but you can't. You can't pick on guys that are that much bigger than you. Yeah. They're gonna just throw you around like a rag doll. That's funny.
Enough with my your side story there.
Yeah, enough.
Jordan Whitehead left. I think he was pretty good. Ali Marpet, one of their big guys up front, offensive guard.
Yeah. It's tough. It's tough to replace good offensive linemen. It really
Rob
is.
Gronkowski, who knows, he might come back in by week 3 or something.
It's an odd situation with him. I don't know.
Rob Gronkowski's an interesting fella, but and Ronald Jones, he went to the Chiefs too. So,
Ronald Jones is pretty solid.
So yeah, the roster is pretty good.
But it's still good even with all those losses.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. And I can talk about the notable departures or acquisitions and re-signings like Leonard Fournette, Akeem Hicks, Keanu Neal, Charlton Davis. And I can talk about all those, and I can touch on how many people departed, but in the end, it might not matter because if you have Tom Brady,
doesn't matter who's on the team, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, I don't really think it's even an issue. Todd Bowles is the new head coach. I mean,
seems to fit pretty well.
He deserves this opportunity.
It's definitely well deserved.
Yeah, because
he should have gotten a job a few years back.
I mean, because he was on the Jet staff. What did he have to work with?
Not a damn thing.
The Jets weren't that good.
Not a damn thing. Yeah.
So I mean, Todd Bowles, he's a good coach, and this is the system that's going to prove he was meant to get a job a lot sooner.
He could get a ring quick. Yeah,
but I mean,
quickly, not quick.
But in Bruce Arians, he's just with the Bucs in the front office.
The way that whole thing happened was odd because I
think it was planned pretty.
I almost feel like Tom Brady had the biggest say in that. I feel like he and Bruce Arians didn't. They butted heads a lot, and I think he wanted Bruce Arians gone, and so the best solution they could find was, to give, like you said, Bruce Arians a spot there in the front office. It's an odd situation that is, but Brady's basically the GM. It doesn't matter who it is. He's a coach, quarterback, general manager, owner. He does it all.
Sounds like another quarterback we know in the league.
Oh yeah,
in Mr. Aaron Rodgers.
Oh boy, yeah. Yeah, those are. I'll tell you one thing that concerns me with Tampa, though. Just looking at their depth chart, that they have such a lack of depth in the offensive line, and they got several injuries there already. They got key injuries. Tristan Wirfs is injured. Robert Hainsey, those two guys banged up, and I don't see a second guy here on the depth chart here at center for Tampa Bay. So depth issues, injuries, that can derail your season before it starts. But if they can go out and sign somebody or trade for somebody, they're going to be able to do it because they're Tampa Bay. So that's not going to be an issue for them. So really good roster. I think the NFC is a much easier road, I think, than the AFC this year, especially just the talent across the board in the AFC is ridiculous, in my opinion. And the NFC is a little more clear to pick 2 or 3 of the top teams in the NFC, even though there are teams in the AFC that you could probably say are this, top 3.
Yeah.
So it's just really, they're going to run away with this division. I think similar to who do we just talk about?
The Buccaneers.
No,
the Titans.
The Titans. Yeah,
Yeah.
similar to the Titans. I think the other few teams are kind of a mess. And this division is very much so. You know what I mean? Like, that's clear favorite. I think they're going to easily make the playoffs. Be interesting to see what happens in the postseason, though. But if you have Tom Brady on your team, you can kind of pencil them in, just put them in the NFC Championship game. Just go ahead and just do it now. Come on. We all know he's going to be there, and we're all going to hate him again because he's going to win another ring.
Yeah.
And I think and this is a hot take. I know Brady said he could play for 5 more years, but I think he's done after this year. I really do believe
we'll
it.
Say that. Carlos
heard it here
will
first.
Make another graphic, and then he'll come out of retirement.
That was a good graphic. What a shame. The nice thing is, though, you just have to update it a little bit, and boom, it's ready to go.
Probably so.
It was one of Carlos's best graphics too, and I know he was very pissed about that. Rightfully so.
Let's move on. The New Orleans Saints last season, a 9-8 record. They lose Sean Payton. I think Sean Payton was burnt out.
Yeah, he's ready to go.
Good old Fox Sports picked him up. Rightfully so.
Yeah, he was. I'm not going to comment on his performance broadcasting, but that's anyway.
Yeah,
you can make what you want from that.
Anyways, the Saints. Jameis Winston had an ACL injury. If he's 100%, how's he going to look? Man, I don't know.
He's such a hit or miss. You just don't know which.
Michael Thomas. I heard he got injured again. He always gets injured, doesn't he?
He's injured all the time.
I'm not sure about this Saints team. This is like the Saints. This could be their first year they missed the playoffs.
It's not looking good.
I mean, they didn't even make the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
Did they?
No, they did not.
Yeah, they didn't. So, I mean,
they have Andy Dalton now. He's their second string quarterback.
Yeah.
Don't sleep on the Ginger King, Andy Dalton, the Red Rifle.
They got rid of Blake Bortles and Trevor Siemian. Malcolm Jenkins retired.
Taysom Hill.
Marcus Williams. Oh yeah, Taysom Hill.
He's not listed on the quarterbacks. That's surprising. They haven't listed as a tight end.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
But anyways, Marcus Williams to the Ravens. Malcolm Jenkins retired. Quan Alexander left.
Lost a lot of guys.
I don't know. I think the run's over for the Saints. They've been good for so long under the Breeze and Sean Payton era.
It's been we saw it last year, but yeah, it's kind of a rebuild for them.
Yeah.
They got to get younger.
I do like, not to cut you off, but I do like that Dennis Allen is the coach, staying in system. Dennis Allen has been with the Saints
a long time.
For a long time. If there's
it's
anybody who can prove us wrong in this scenario, it's Dennis Allen.
Yeah.
But what real pieces do you have to work with?
There's not. I mean, you got a lot of older players.
I mean, you got Cam Jordan still.
Cam Jordan's still out there. You got Marshawn Lattimore. He's not bad. You got Tyrann Mathieu. He's okay. He's taken a couple steps back in the last few years, right? But
I forgot about him.
Still a pretty key piece on that defense. So maybe this is a chance for him to sort of revitalize his career playing that free safety position, because with Kansas City, it kind of seemed like he was out of place a lot. And I know Carlos would agree that last year he got burned a lot last year in games.
I think so.
A lot. So he's got a lot to prove this year, and I think this is a good situation for him to come into. Joins a decent defense. I think the Saints offense last year just dragged them down. They had injuries. Like you said, the quarterback shuffle machine of Siemian and Taysom Hill, and God, I can't even remember who else with and then Trevor Siemian got injured, right? As well. Didn't that happen? They had 2 quarterbacks go down. Jameis and then
Oh,
See, I can't remember now.
I
This
don't
is why we need
remember.
Carlos here because he knows this stuff like that. So anyway, I don't want to sound dumb, but yeah, they were the 32nd ranked passing offense last year. I mean, you can't get any worse. So I think I just don't see them having a very good season. They're really going to have to lean on Alvin Kamara though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
They're going to run him to death, and they also have Mark Ingram as well, so they got a little power back to match up with the speed of Alvin Kamara. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's
It's
tough to say for sure.
they're not a playoff team if they do get in, because we do have the one, each conference now has what's it called, expanded playoff,
Yeah.
which is one playoff spot, which we've seen now. This will be the second year they did it, if I'm correct on that. I think so, right? Because last year was the first year they had an extra
Yeah.
playoff team.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I don't know. It's I'm not very confident in them this year. I will be surprised if they go 10-7. I think that's a really good season for them. I do. I think they're an 8-9 team. I mean, that's where I would put them, and that could be good enough for second place in this division. You just don't know. But we'll talk about Carolina and the Falcons in a minute. I think those two teams are sort of similar to the Saints in a lot of ways.
Well,
But
Carolina. I have some thoughts on Carolina.
me too. Me too. I think they're going to be better than people think. But I just don't see a lot here.
I don't.
mean,
I don't
you
either.
got Jarvis Landry, right? I mean,
Wow.
he's not bad. You
Yeah.
got Chris Olave coming in from Ohio State.
He was good back at Ohio State.
He
How's
was.
he going to make that transition to the league, though?
See, you just don't know.
Yeah.
You just don't know.
Absolutely.
So it's sort of a question mark for this team, and that's how I would put them. Like I said, I think 8-9. I think they're a sub 500 team this year because they're still trying to rebuild and figure stuff out.
Yeah.
So that's what I got.
Moving right along to the Carolina Panthers, which got a steal of a trade from the Browns, getting Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
Which I think Mayfield will do very, very well with them.
I agree.
And I think Mayfield is just, I mean, the way he's handling himself and going about camp, from what I've seen, and especially going back to the reporter asking him about the Deshaun Watson situation. He's like, I get paid to play football here in Carolina, not comment on issues about other teams or something like that.
Yeah, it's a good answer.
He's focused on business. He's focused on winning games. And the Browns have been
they're a mess of an organization.
They are.
They're a mess of an organization.
And you have Jacoby Brissett getting ready to start games for them because of Watson's suspension. But anyways, I think Mayfield is going to do a great job for this Carolina Panthers team. The weapons around him, though, I'm unsure about.
Yeah,
in the defense,
there's not a lot around him right now.
Baker wants to crush the Browns week 1. And I think
of course
it's going
to
happen.
Of course he does.
I think it. Where is that game? Do you know?
I can look right now.
If it's in Cleveland and stomps them.
That's in Carolina.
Oh, well, anyways, Baker in front of home fans, I think that place is going to be electrifying. And
it's a good stadium too.
Absolutely. And then once he wins, and Baker's just ready for week 1, ready to compete and ready to crush his former team. And it's been known on media.
And the thing about him last year, he definitely was played injured the entire season. Yeah. And no one talks about the toughness it took for him to go out there with a shoulder injury. At times it was debilitating, play after play. But he did a great job of going out there and just continuing to work and try to get the Browns in position, and they were in position last year. So the fact that they even had a chance is Baker Mayfield is this is, I think it's his coming out season for him to just ball out.
Yeah.
I think he's going to play really well. He's coming back fully healthy. He's focused. There's there's always been distractions surrounding him throughout his college career, his early NFL career. He's sort of this cocky, arrogant type of guy. I see now that he's sort of more focused on the task at hand, and that's proving people wrong.
Yeah.
So he's going to come out and try to just tear it up. I do agree with you. The lack of weapons is a little, you got DJ Moore as your starting receiver. He's average. You got Robbie Anderson.
Yeah.
He's below average. Maybe he makes those guys better. I don't know. I don't see a lot around him as far as receivers are concerned.
Yeah.
But you have McCaffrey. If you can keep him healthy, though, right? Because he gets hurt every year. He starts off the season well. 3 or 4 weeks in, boom, season-ending injury. So, you got Chuba Hubbard backing him up, which I think would be very interesting if he gets a chance to play. Which listen, with I shouldn't laugh at McCaffrey, but it's I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of McCaffrey because he just hasn't proven it to me that he can stay healthy for very long.
I understand.
So Chuba Hubbard in his second season, watch out for him this year. I think he could be not to give fantasy football advice, but maybe you sign him. Maybe just have him on your bench ready to go because it's safe to say that McCaffrey has a history of getting hurt. So you might have a chance to just plug him in there. And they're gonna be running the ball, I think, a lot until Baker gets more comfortable in that system too.
Yeah,
because that's a new thing too. Like you have a new quarterback that coming into a different system.
Do we know what happened to Cam Newton? Is he done?
He's done. He's out of the league basically. I guess
he's just gonna retire.
No one signed him. He goes on podcasts and he's entertaining. I'll give him that. He likes smoking cigars too. But yeah, I think he just kind of wore himself down. You know what I mean? So football is just very tough. It's a very physical sport, and I think it got to Cam Newton. But
yeah,
I just don't know.
I'm excited to see what Baker Mayfield can do for this team, though.
And looking at that defense, they were a top 5 defense last year. A lot of people don't know that, but because their offense was so abysmal. But can you look and see who did they lose? Did they lose anybody key on defense? Can you find that
for the Panthers?
Panthers, right? Because if they didn't,
outside linebacker Hassan Reddick went to the Eagles.
Okay.
Defensive tackle Daquan Jones went to the Bills. Stephon Gilmore, quarterback, went to the Colts.
See, Gilmore's pretty solid.
Yeah.
You lose him.
AJ Bouye, cornerback, they lost him as well.
Yeah, I was going to say
defensive tackle Matthew Ioannidis from the Commanders. He was pretty solid in Washington.
Yeah,
so I think he'll do pretty good too.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I'm not sure what to make of their defense. I don't know if it's going to be as good. You know what I mean? So we'll see. We'll see what we'll see how it plays out. But I think it's. I mean, everybody's going to be watching Baker Mayfield, right? I mean, he's must-see television. So that's not going to change. It was that way in Oklahoma. It was that way with the Browns. It took the Browns to the playoffs. A team that hadn't been there in so long. A team that hadn't been relevant in football in so long, and they ran him out of town, and that's it's a slap in the face. So I think he gets his revenge in week 1, and I think it's a blowout. I mean, I think the Panthers take the Browns to the woodshed. Mark it down now because I'm probably going to be wrong, and we're going to be remembering how stupid I was when I said that, which I deserve. So
let's move it right along to the Atlanta Falcons last year, finishing 7-10 from kind of bad to worse now. Marcus Mariota, their starting quarterback.
Yeah.
Cordero Patterson, but Matt Ryan obviously traded to the Colts. Calvin Ridley bet on himself, and he's now suspended for the whole season.
That's so stupid to me.
Yeah, this Falcons team, I don't see them improving. I really don't. I mean, Marcus Mariota, I was kind of high on him because he did pretty good with the Raiders. He got in some packages there, but that's a small sample size,
Yeah, he hasn't played much the last since he left the Titans. Really, he really has not played a whole lot.
So
it's an interesting decision.
I don't see the Falcons doing much this year.
Yeah, I think everyone's going to be watching to see when rookie quarterback Desmond Ridder gets a chance to play.
That might be good, getting him some early
You know what I mean?
experience, if not full time.
Marcus Mariota be kind of a mentor to him. Not a lot of quarterbacks like that. You know what I mean? Like guys who are like who are experienced, like Marcus Mariota is. He's been around the league a long time. He hasn't played poorly, but he really, like you said, the sample size, especially in the last like 3 seasons, has not been very large of him. We saw him like have some really nice run plays with the Raiders, which they were able to really get pretty good use out of him in those packages, like you said. But yeah, Desmond Ridder, going to be interesting to see if they are able to sort of plug him in there. I think we see the Falcons do it. Why not? They got to see what the future holds. You got a rookie quarterback. He's a really talented guy. I don't know. They're a very much a mystery to me this year. I do think they're going to finish last in this division, but I think that kind of comes with, they're sort of in a rebuild. I mean, you lose a guy who's been your quarterback for 100 years. It's kind of hard to start over the next season and have success, I think. So to lose Matt Ryan and to expect them to immediately be able to step up and have it work out is just difficult. So yeah, Desmond Ridder is the guy to watch this year for them. But they, I don't know. I think they have the most like not deep depth chart in this division. Again, this was a really bad football team on both sides of the ball. 29th ranked offense, 26th ranked defense last year. So they need a big turnaround this year if they're going to have a chance to make some noise in that division. I think Dan Quinn. Is Dan Quinn even there anymore?
No, he's with Dallas.
He got booted, right?
It's Arthur Smith.
Arthur Smith. This is his second season, right?
Yeah, second season for Arthur Smith.
It's a tough situation for Arthur Smith because he came in last year. You had like I said, a quarterback who's 150,000 years old, and he was able to sort of, you didn't have to do a whole lot on that end. Now all of a sudden you have Marcus Mariota, who sort of fills that like old man role kind of nicely. I think not as old as Matt Ryan, of course. He's only 28, so that's really not that bad. I know I sound like I shouldn't be ageist, but Desmond Ridder, man, it's going to be interesting to see if they're able to plug him in because I think they will utilize him. Don't be surprised if they have some, like they did with Mariota in Vegas, have some packages for him to run to get him out there, see what he looks like. But other than that, I really have nothing to say about the Falcons. They don't. I
don't really.
Nothing catches my eye. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Kyle Pitts, he was a stud last year.
I think Pitts can have a pretty good season.
I expect him to be great once again.
Yeah. Pitts was
he's
really good in college.
He's going to be the number one target. So.
I think so. He might be overthrown too, but
he has to block and then
gets the stats up.
Yeah. So I don't have a lot to say about their defense. I don't think they really, unless you can go through if they add anybody, but their roster just seems weak from top to bottom to me. So I think they're a 5 to 6 win team. So
I could agree.
That's kind of where they are. I mean, they're in a rebuild mode right now. You have to expect that until you get that young core, which they really don't have. You're kind of going to be stuck where you are. So, and whether you build that through the draft or a combination of the draft and free agency, which I think that's probably what they'll do. So, yeah, I think they're dead last. I think they're 5 to 6 win team in this division. So,
that was the NFC South. Once again, Studio K. That's Dan. I'm Josh. We'll talk about the AFC North when we return right here on the Kirby on Sports podcast.
Hey, sports fans. Thank you for listening to and supporting the Kirby on Sports podcast with founder and host Josh Kirby, along with lead contributor Dan Dembski. Like, subscribe, and give them a 5-star rating wherever you get your podcast from. My name is Dr. Dave Miles, founder of Dr. Dave Leadership Corporation. Our company helps leaders build engaged and productive teams. Exclusively for listeners of the Kirby on Sports podcast, you can take an opportunity to discover your primary communication style and learn more about effective communication with others. Text Kirby to 757-903-0743 for your free copy of the Working From Home Communication Assessment, where you'll learn your primary communication style, how to better communicate with others not like you, and tips on working remotely based on your personal communication style. 10 minutes, tons of resources. Learn about yourself and your team. Again, text Kirby to 757-903-0743 for your free assessment report today. I'm Dr. Dave Miles, founder of Dr. Dave Leadership Corporation, where we help you and your team be more engaged and productive by understanding each other better. Back to you, Josh.
All right, back on the Kirby on Sports podcast. Let's jump right in to the AFC North.
Bum, bum.
We got a division with the Steelers, the Browns, the Bengals, and the Ravens. We'll let you get your piece on the Ravens. But the Cincinnati Bengals went to the Super Bowl, had Joe Burrow.
They were close too. They had a chance to win it.
He's injured, isn't he?
Yeah, he got his appendix removed, I think.
Joe Burrow?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
But he is injured technically.
Somebody have? Yeah, he got injured in the Super Bowl, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he recovered from that.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't as bad as it looked.
Yeah,
initially.
At least I'm hoping that he's back to full strength for this season.
For that, yeah, I mean, for sure.
I mean, they had a pretty successful year. I mean,
they were. Are you kidding? They were the surprise team of last year.
Absolutely, and
nobody thought they were going to win that division.
They were an offensive line away from winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
On that last play because Jamar Chase was wide open.
I know.
But the question here is, I mean, you look at the just not even looking at the acquisitions, re-signings, and departures. Can this team make it back?
It's so hard to do.
It is.
It's very difficult.
So they came up this short. Do they have the drive? Do they have the motivation to get back to the Super Bowl and actually win?
This year? Or just in general, you mean? Because see, that's the question. If you're talking about this year, no. No, it's
I'm
hard.
posing the question both this year and in general.
This year, no. In general, I think the window's still open for them, right? But the AFC is just so damn good. And every division has those great teams. Obviously, the Bills and the Chiefs are still the team to beat. But the Bengals did it last year. They were able to get through both of those teams. You know what I mean? So, in that AFC title game, that was a huge upset. You know what I mean? So, not this year. I think their window's still open as long as you have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. They have a chance to get to the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't think that's any question in my mind. Those two guys just absolutely put up historic numbers like I've never seen in my lifetime. Literally, Joe Burrow throws for 400 yards and 250 of them are to Jamar Chase.
Mm-hmm.
I think my question is this year, our team's going to be able to better defend that now. You're gonna have no choice because if you don't, you're going to get burnt every time.
Yeah. If you can't defend Jamar Chase, he's going to have a record.
Just get off the field. You know what I mean? So
absolutely. Absolutely.
And my team got schooled when we played them twice. The second game we were pretty banged up, so that makes sense. But even in the first game, we got schooled pretty badly by him. So no, I think this roster is still really solid. The defense is a little questionable for me, but look, all the points that offense put up last year, you don't need a great defense if you have an offense like the Bengals have. So that's going to be the key for me. If Joe Burrow can continue to stay healthy, you know, I think last year he still got hit a lot, not as much as his rookie season. Obviously, because he got injured his rookie season,
Mm-hmm.
but he still got banged around a good bit last year. So that's the other thing I want to look out for. Like you can't have that happen again. You got to protect Joe Burrow, and he took you to a Super Bowl, so you really have to protect him.
Yeah.
To give yourself a chance to get back there. So this is one of the best offenses in the AFC, just simply because they have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. And then they have, you have a nice complement there of T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd as well. They can come in and also make big plays. So this offense is explosive. It's a lot of fun to watch. If they're not in your division, it's much more fun to watch. So I expect the Bengals to compete for that top spot in the AFC North. Whether they get back to the Super Bowl this year, I don't think it'll happen. I think it could happen in years to come, but that defense has to get better.
Yeah,
You
I
have
agree.
to improve on the defensive side of the ball. And that's, to me, the biggest thing holding them back. They were 27th last year against the pass on defense, so there's work to be done for them, and they know what it is. I mean, they know Eli Apple gets beat a lot, so he gets schooled for it on social media. So this is a really solid team. They are very dangerous. I don't think they'll get back to the Super Bowl this year. I just think the Bills have gone all chips in. We talked about them on the last episode. I think they're my pick to go to the Super Bowl. So, but I like Cincinnati. I think they're going to make a deep playoff run again. If they get in, I highly doubt they miss the playoffs unless Joe Burrow or Jamar Chase get hurt, which injuries happen in this league. It's a physical game, so it's just hard to know.
I always envision myself putting myself into the shoes of a Bengals fan and how heartbreaking that Super Bowl loss must have been.
Yeah.
So I agree with what you said, but also I think this team is playing with a lot more passion, a lot more heart, so they can make the best overall effort to try to get back to the Super Bowl. So in that, I think that desire will make this team more fun to watch this year.
I agree. And you still have your core is still pretty young. You know what I mean? So I think that helps you too. If you have an aging team, like let's use the Rams for example. Obviously Matt Stafford goes there last year. They go to the Super Bowl and win. The Bengals aren't in that situation. They drafted Joe Burrow 2 years ago, gets hurt his rookie season. And like we said, coming into last season, we had low expectations of the Bengals. I don't know if you remember, but I'm pretty sure we picked them to finish dead last in the AFC North.
Yes, we did.
Or maybe third place at best.
I don't have it queued up, but I'm sure I could find that somewhere in the archives.
Because I think we played it during during a Super Bowl preview show, you had that ready to go. Because you said, remember what we picked at the beginning of the season, and you played it, and it was like we all said they were going to finish either last or in third place. So they, who's that team this year? Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Who knows who that team's going to be in the National Football League? But yeah, they're a really, really solid team. I love Joe Burrow. He's a great guy. He plays with just such a fire in his belly. He's just a great player, and he and Jamar Chase have that connection, man. If they can keep that going, I don't know a lot of defenses that are going to be able to slow them down and get them off the field. That's all I'm going to say. I think they could have another huge season and break records. I really believe that.
I agree. I 100% agree.
Whether that equates to Super Bowl, though, is hard to say. We've seen teams who've had unbelievable regular seasons and then they choke in the playoffs or they struggle. So it happens. But they have nothing to be ashamed of. They played a hell of a Super Bowl, and like you said, they came so close last year to getting the title, and probably the most unlikely Super Bowl story maybe ever.
Absolutely.
At least that I can think of.
I agree.
Really fun football team.
Moving along. The Baltimore Ravens.
Here we are.
All you.
All me.
Yeah, you're Ravens.
Yeah. The biggest thing this year is just staying healthy. They lost so many guys last year. I mean, the injury bug was insane. Offensive and defense, especially the defense. We had guys playing that literally we signed off the street. And when you sign like 4 or 5 guys during the week and expect them to play, oh, by the way, you're suiting up Sunday against the Rams. What? I'm doing what? No, you're kidding, right? So you got to get in football shape and all that stuff. So yeah, it's obviously the Lamar Jackson contract extension talks have dominated the last couple months for this team. We've heard that they can't come to an agreement. I think the big thing with Lamar Jackson is he's seen what Deshaun Watson got recently, what Russell Wilson got, which Russell Wilson hasn't played it down for the Broncos, and he gets all that money. Which
did not happen till after we recorded.
Correct. Correct. Yeah, that was.
So we didn't
this
have a
happened during
chance.
the week.
And, excuse me, I'm sorry, let's just talk about this. The proportion of Russell Wilson's house. He bought what was it? I got to pull this up because it was just incredible. Russell Wilson in Sierra bought, or if I said that wrong, I'm sorry, a $25 million Colorado mansion, 20,000 square feet, 9-car garage, game room, basketball court, theater, and indoor pool. 12 bathrooms and only 4 bedrooms.
He's got the money.
12 bathrooms and only 4 bedrooms? The ratio there. Who needs 12 bathrooms in a 4-bedroom house?
You're rich. Why not? That's what I would say.
Just that ratio, but continue, please.
Yeah, that was an interesting little tangent you went on there. But I don't know what. Okay, anyway. Yeah, to me, it's you want to get Lamar that big money. You know what I mean? So they have to come together now and figure something out. Sign this guy, give him what he wants. To me, it's simple. Just give him the money. And this is a tough season for him because at wide receiver they're just so thin. You got Rashad Bateman's your guy. He's your number one receiver, and really, he was pretty good last year, right? But he was number 2, sometimes 3, depending. And now you have Devin Duvernay is right there at your second string receiver. And I don't know. We just haven't seen enough of him, I think, to have an opinion. And after that, it's just they're very thin. They got Demarcus Robinson, who used to be the former Kansas City Chief. So I think they'll plug and play him a little bit. So I just don't know if he's got the weapons to throw the ball to, but he's got Mark Andrews, man. Mark Andrews is the guy. He put up better numbers than Kelsey last year in a lot of respects. So I think you got to get him the football. The offensive line is, let's hope this year they can find some continuity, because last year they played musical chairs with the offensive line, and I think that was part of the reason why they had the issues they did on offense. They were still statistically like a top 10 offense last year, but which is surprising to me to see that here, but that was mostly just yards and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens. I think the defense looks really solid to me. I'm excited to see what happens this year. God, please stay healthy, Ravens. Please. I need you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. They didn't, because your buddy Poe's out with an ACL injury.
Yeah, poor Poe.
That was crazy. What was he doing? Just playing football at halftime?
With kids. Yeah, he got tackled by kids.
And he tore his ACL.
Man, that's brutal.
I mean, that's crazy.
Freaking brutal, man. Yeah, I think the Ravens are in a pretty good shape. I know I just kind of crapped on their offense a little bit because they really don't have much. But this is where Lamar is going to prove how good he is. We already know how good he is. Yeah, he won the MVP in his second season, unanimous MVP. He's not a scrub, regardless of what social media thinks of him. He's going to go out there and show you why he deserves that title. Mm-hmm. So, and that defense is solid. If they can stay healthy, I think they'll be in really good shape. And shout out Jordan Stout, former classmate of mine at Virginia Tech, before he transferred to Penn State to finish out his college career. Starting punter for Virginia Tech this year. Sam Cook, longtime punter, retired at the end of last year. So, hey, shout out to Jordan Stout. I don't know if he listens to the podcast. I hope he does. Maybe we could interview him,
So
it's an idea.
The punter for Ravens?
I know Jordan Stout. I had a couple classes with him.
No way.
Yeah.
Pretty close?
Yeah, we were buddies. We did a couple group projects together. So he's a really nice guy.
You talk to him still?
Here and there.
Oh, very nice.
So it's just another reason
to
root for the Ravens.
Me and my guy Najee Johnson.
There you go.
I mean, he's on the practice squad now. I wish the Chiefs would have kept him up, but that's just
the Chiefs, though. I mean, it's
tough.
The
Chiefs. But practice squad, I mean, that's
pretty
pretty
damn
good.
Yeah.
But
yeah, we'll see what happens. I kind of want to get your thoughts now. But it's to compete with Cincinnati, which I think is going to be their main competition this year. Obviously, with Deshaun Watson out for most of the season, and the Steelers are a mess. We're gonna talk about them in a minute. They just can't get out of their own way. So They're trying to start the rebuild, and they don't know what to do because they haven't done this in what year is it? They haven't done it in 18 years.
Yeah.
Big Ben was there for so long.
Yeah.
They didn't prepare for this. You know what I mean? Which we're going to talk about that, but I think the Ravens will have a good season. And I do think they'll make the postseason. Whether they win the division or not, I'm not sure. It depends. It depends on that offensive line if they can stay upright and get some continuity, because that's the biggest thing last year. They had guys, left tackle especially was just like a revolving door of guys, and Villanueva. Oh my God, they should have never put him at left tackle last year. Just brutal. Guy got beat time and time again. I digress. Yeah, I think 11 wins is pretty possible with this team. That may be on the. Hopefully, it's on the lower end. Hopefully, they win 12 or 13. It's tough though. It's just very tough. It's a long grinding season. Like I said, health is everything this year.
Absolutely.
If they stay healthy, they're in the postseason. If not, probably not. And then John Harbaugh's future becomes questionable if they miss the playoffs this year.
I think,
in my opinion.
Yeah, health is the main concern. And I think what's going to be unique is Lamar's contract, because I think once the season starts, I think that's not going to be an issue. They'll be fine with Lamar playing, and then they just work a deal out, like maybe after the season.
They can franchise tag him 2 more times as well, so that's an option.
Yeah,
I think he's going to get restless if they do that. If they franchise tag him after this season, I kind of have a feeling if there's not a contract by then, he's going to want out.
If there's not a contract by week 1, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think it will be fine.
You have the season to do it.
The season, correct. But if they franchise tag him because of an outrageous contract like Kyler Murray, or Jimmy Garoppolo, who just got restructured.
He had to. Who's going to want to? The 49ers don't want to pay that.
Yeah, but anyways, I don't think the contract's going to be an issue this year. I hope so. I don't think there's going to be any drama with that, so on and so forth. I think the Ravens can stay healthy. They're going to be an 11-12 win team, split with the Bengals, and get into the playoffs.
I like that. I like that a lot.
They just got dealt the wrong hand. Too many injuries. You were there when they played the Rams.
It's a damn good game.
They still had heart. They still had drive.
They were winning.
They just they just got injured, and
just too much. Yeah. No, I agree. I think the Lamar headline is going to be the biggest headline this year for them. And if he doesn't perform, that it's the NFL. You don't know, right? You just don't know. Or he could get hurt. Quarterbacks get hurt all the time. And then all of a sudden the Ravens are like, and this is why we didn't sign him to a long-term deal. Because with quarterbacks, you just don't know. But they got to do it. They just got to do it. There's no doubt in my mind that he's worth the money. The biggest problem is he's representing himself. He doesn't have an agent, and that muddies the water there a little bit. So they have to find a way to work with that and get it sorted out, and they got to do it soon.
Yeah. I agree.
Because if he gets franchise tagged, he's going to say, "Look, I could go to. There's 31 other teams that would sign me now.
Yeah, probably pay more than them
and give me all the money I'd ask for.
Yeah.
So that's the way I see it.
Let's move on to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Dan, let's play a little game. Who's going to be the starter week 1?
My guess is as good as anybody's, I guess.
You got Mitch Trubisky, Mason Rudolph, correct?
Yes.
Mason Rudolph.
And then Kenny Pickett's the third string.
Kenny Pickett, though, was at the Pitt, West Virginia game, so right in his backyard there. So
well, he doesn't have to move stadiums. He's played in the same stadium in college.
Yeah.
So
I wouldn't say that really gives Kenny Pickett an advantage.
No,
he's played there, but
he's the least experienced of the 3.
Yeah. But quarterback. I'd say if anybody, Mason Rudolph.
That's what I think.
Because Mason Rudolph has been there, and he got some extracurricular experience with that
we all
helmet.
We all know what he's most remembered for: getting bashed in the head by his own.
Yeah.
with his,
Then Aaron Donald goes out and does the same thing in a joint practice. But
yeah.
that was last week's episode of the Kirby on Sports podcast. But I mean, looking at these quarterbacks, I'd say Mason Rudolph. I think he has the most experience. And when I say the most experience, that's not meaning much.
It's almost like, and this is
Mitch Trubisky, I'm not even sure why he's on this team. If he gets the starting role, I think they're making a big mistake.
I don't. Well, he's.
I don't. I really don't. I think I don't know what they see in Mitch Trubisky.
He's been the biggest joke of these three guys
ever since he got drafted by the Bears, in my opinion.
Yep, he's never lived up to anything. So
I
don't understand them making that move either. I'll say this too. And to quote this is what the kids say nowadays. This is like a mid-off. You have guys that are like 5 out of 10. That's what all these guys are on the quarterback scale. They're all average. What? No guy stands out to me. Yeah, I agree with you about Mason Rudolph though. If I could pick one guy right now, it's him because he's been in the system. He's Mike Tomlin likes him, right? Obviously, he keeps you around. Mike Tomlin's a great coach though, and I think if he picks a quarterback, he's not going to flip flop. He's not Jim Harbaugh. He's not going to change from game to game like we've seen what Michigan's been doing so far this year.
Which is ridiculous in my opinion.
You can't. There's no way you can have success doing that.
Hey, I'm gonna start
in the NFL.
Quarterback A week 1, quarterback B week 2. I'll pick my starter after that.
It might work in college, but it does not work in the pros.
Absolutely,
it does not work in the pros. So I think that's a bad system, and I think Tomlin's better than that. He's gonna pick somebody, and they're gonna stick with them, unless something happens. I guess the nice thing is if they have injuries, they got quarterbacks. That's not an issue for them. But
I do have a bold prediction for the Steelers, though.
Okay.
They missed the playoffs, but they continue to have a non-losing season.
I could see that. And look,
because
Tomlin, it's
Tomlin
Mike Tomlin.
With the streak, he's never had a losing season.
Never had. He's a great coach.
Yeah, and a winning
He's one of the best
season,
in the league.
It doesn't necessarily mean playoffs, but I could see them last year they were 9-7-1.
Yeah, so they kept it alive.
Yeah, so
I could see that. I could see that. Even at their worst, I think Pittsburgh is still a team that you can't mess around with.
I mean 9-8.
You can't mess around with.
You can't go 500 anymore, so 9-8's the
that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me. Yeah.
I could see that happening.
Me too.
Because yes, the quarterback situation's a mess. You lost Juju Smith-Schuster and James Washington and Eric Ebron.
Yeah, their receivers are
Joe
pretty thin.
Hayden too. But I mean, with this team, you still have Mike Tomlin. So
the defense is definitely a concern for me.
Correct. And that's where they're going to lose games.
Yep.
Is the defense. Because we all know the saying.
And the quarterback.
Defense wins championships and the quarterback. But still, I could see Mike Tomlin keeping the non-losing season streak alive. Playoffs? Probably not. But that's my bold take on them.
Well, here's, how I said Pittsburgh didn't have a contingency plan after Big Ben left. Maybe they did. Maybe they drafted Mason Rudolph for this purpose. He's 2018 drafted by the Steelers. He's played here and there. We obviously know the famous duck, please, duck and cover. Played a lot in 2019. He had 10 games. My back just starts itching out of nowhere. 10 games in 2019, 13 touchdowns, 9 picks. Not good stats. But I think maybe that's what Tomlin is gearing towards here. Is Rudolph is the successor to Big Ben. He hasn't proven anything yet, so this is the season. And I do think he will take over from Mitch Trubisky. And it won't take long because Pittsburgh fans will not put up with Mitch Trubisky doing Mitch Trubisky things. They're not going to put up with it.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't think so either.
So I think it'll be 3 weeks into the season, and we'll see. We'll see. Rudolph will be the starter.
I
after
think
that.
the Steelers already lost the game without even stepping on the field, just because they changed the name from Heinz Field to whatever the new
Yeah,
name
it's
is.
some weird
Why?
money,
I'm calling Heinz Field still.
sponsorships,
I
man.
don't care. It's
a
Heinz Field, in
business.
my opinion.
It'll always be Heinz Field to me too.
Yeah, Heinz Field. Let's go to Heinz Field.
Let's do it.
Just like PNC Park right across the way.
Yeah,
Heinz Field.
that's the hill you're gonna die on today. You're gonna okay. I mean, hey, we all have that thing that bothers us, you know.
Yeah,
It's,
it bothers me.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned with, we talked about the Ravens and their lack of wide receiver depth. I kind of see that with Pittsburgh too. They do have Chase Claypool. Deontay Johnson's their number one guy now. So yeah, it's a little concerning for them as well. Like who do you have? And they've got to run the football, man. They've struggled in the last couple of years running the football. They've not established it well at all. And now they have, Najee Harris is going to be the guy. So he's got to step up this year. He's got to step up for Pittsburgh.
Absolutely.
But I agree with you. I think they still have a winning record, 9-8 to me. I could see that. And Pittsburgh is tough. So I wouldn't put it past them to surprise people this season for how well they play.
Absolutely. The Cleveland Browns. I mean,
they'll start 0-11. And then after that, who really knows? Let me just look at their schedule real quick so I can get a gauge. Actually,
we're actually going to the Ravens game. If you did not hear this on the Kirby on Sports podcast, we're going to the Ravens Browns game.
I gotta say, their first 11 weeks, their schedule's not easy. I could maybe see 2, maybe 3 wins.
When's the last time Jacoby Brissett played? Last year?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's been one of those guys who just he's a reserve quarterback.
He's the reserve come in and play decent quarterback.
Why is Deshaun Watson injured? Oh, he's not. That was funny, right?
Well,
it's an odd situation.
I don't know.
For the Browns.
They have Amari Cooper.
Yeah,
David Njoku.
They have some talent on that offense, and don't look past Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. I think that's a great dynamic duo running the football. I dare say maybe one of the best in the AFC North if you put those two guys against anybody else running the football in the AFC North. Again, I know Ravens fans are going to be like, what are you saying? We have J.K. Dobbins. Yeah, but he's injured, so he's on his way back, but he's still hurt. So, those two guys are pretty solid. So I think we're going to see a lot of that because Jacoby Brissett, we don't know. We don't know what he's going to bring to the table. It's just crazy to me. You give Deshaun Watson all that money, and he's lucky he didn't get suspended for the whole season. He's lucky he's only out for the first 11 games of the season.
Yeah.
So it could be a lot worse for him. So he should be thanking his lucky stars.
I think it's a mess either way.
Oh, definitely. And that defense, woof. I mean, they got Denzel Ward. He's probably their best defender.
The Browns screwed themselves over by trading Baker Mayfield away for nothing. And then
they wanted him out so badly.
Injured.
They wanted him gone so badly. Yeah. They did anything they could to do it, and they put themselves in this position. They have no one to blame but themselves at this point. And their defense doesn't look good on paper. They're the basement in this division, especially you don't have the guy you're paying $25 bazillion a year to play quarterback for the first 11 games. So, like I said, just looking at their schedule, and maybe you could look real quick and see what you think, but I think they could realistically win 2, 3, maybe 4 games out of those first 11. Maybe. It's tough. It's very tough. So that's all I have to say about the Browns. I have disdain for them as an organization.
We don't really need to waste much more breath on the Browns.
I agree. Let's move on to the NFC now.
Yeah, let's move on to the NFC right here on the Kirby on Sports podcast. The NFC North will be coming up next. Once again, that's Dan. I'm Josh. We'll be right back.
Hey there, this is Mark Francis of Icon Real Estate. If you have any real estate needs in the Winchester surrounding area, including West Virginia, give me a call. I've got extensive experience, been in the business for almost 20 years, and would love to help you out. Track me down at Icon Real Estate, iconsells.com, or even give me a call, 540-247-1527. Again, Icon Sells, ICONSELLS.com, and I would love to chat with you and help you out. Give me a call.
That's Dan. I'm Josh. We're back. The NFC North.
Let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's start with the Detroit Lions.
Why? I thought we were going top to bottom.
Oh, excuse me. Yes, top to bottom.
I was going to say they didn't win the division that I know of.
I'm sorry. Yeah, we're going top to bottom. I look at the Lions. I'm like, oh, the Lions. There they are. Anyways,
The bottom. Poor Lions.
the Packers. The Packers 13-4. They get beat by the 49ers in the divisional round.
Bad loss in the playoffs. Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers gets extended. Alan Lazard, Sammy Watkins.
He's so bad.
Oh, I'm not sure.
Why are they bragging about signing
I'm
him?
not sure. I mean, yeah, Sammy had a down year, but if there's anybody to pad stats, it's Aaron Rodgers throwing to him, you know. I'm not saying...
regular season Aaron Rodgers, yeah. Not postseason Aaron Rodgers though. He'd rather throw ducks in the postseason. Sorry, I had to get that little knock on Rodgers.
But
the obsession with him annoys me. But that's okay.
So Aaron Rodgers got extended.
Mm-hmm.
The Packers, I mean,
they're clearly the best team in this division. Clearly,
I mean, obviously, no matter
they've been
what
there, done that.
No matter what their roster's like, just comes down to the playoffs.
Yeah,
how they're gonna do in the playoffs.
And don't forget,
Devontae Adams is gone though.
Don't forget they have Randall Cobb, so it's a little.
Marquez Valdez-Scantling, he's gone too. Zadarius Smith, he went to the Vikings.
Yeah.
So, I mean, still some key losses there, but I mean, Aaron Rodgers is like the GM of the North for Green Bay, pretty much. Like, he gets his say and makes it happen. He wants so on and so forth.
Yeah, he's like Brady in that respect. There's not a lot of quarterbacks who have that power.
Like he does some sort of drugs now or something.
Yeah, it's some sort of it's like what? LSD or some weird mushroom thing.
I mean, the more you hear about Aaron Rodgers,
he's a weird guy.
It's like, who is this?
He's a weirdo. He's a weirdo.
I mean, none of this stuff came out early in his career. It's like, man, what's this guy doing?
It's really been the last couple years.
His 4-month dating engagement, then he gets it broken off and stuff. It's
okay. I don't care about this.
I'm just saying.
You're just trying to fill the time. I get you.
No, I'm just saying.
Because the Packers are a well-oiled machine.
Weird.
He's a weirdo.
Yeah.
They're a well-oiled machine. They're a good organization. They have success.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think it equates to a Super Bowl, and that's going to be the ultimate knock when we talk about Aaron Rodgers when he retires. Won Super Bowl title many, many moons ago.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to remember. We're going to remember all the lack of postseason success. Aaron Rodgers, one of the best regular season quarterbacks, but can't get it done in the playoffs. So, and I don't necessarily think with this roster you can get it to the Super Bowl. But again, it is Aaron Rodgers. He makes guys around him great.
It's going to be playoff version of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. In
playoff version of the Packers.
Yep.
That's what it comes down to.
Definitely. So they're the clear winner of this division. I do think Minnesota could get to the postseason, but I think they're going to have to go in through the wild card. Kirk Cousins put up good numbers. We're going to talk about this.
Kirk,
look at his stats from last year.
You're saying he put up good numbers?
Last year, he sure did.
So I'm confused because last year we were knocking him for getting paid so much.
Well, yeah, because he hasn't won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but look at his stats, Kirby. You think I'm lying?
No, I saw his stats.
Yeah, he had 33 touchdowns, 7 picks last year. That's pretty damn good. And he had 4,000 yards.
Well,
he was like the top in the NFL in like almost every category.
Yeah.
So we've moved on from the Packers now, obviously. Here we are talking about the Vikings.
Wow, that's interesting because I thought your stance on him was still about like he's getting paid too much.
Oh,
and
he's
not really-
overpaid.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. If you're paying a guy that much money, you have to be
Yeah.
you have to be a regular team in the postseason,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Jay Gruden was on the Sports Junkies, and he was asked.
I don't give a shit what Jay Gruden has to say.
Listen.
I don't care what Jay Gruden thinks.
No, but listen, he's like, if you were still the coach, if you had a say in it, would you extend Kirk Cousins? He said, absolutely.
Really?
So I was like, okay, yeah.
He was the best quarterback y'all had since I don't know.
So
RG3, I guess.
Kirk Cousins, is he going to have another good season? I think the Vikings have been like from not so great. They're slowly moving up the ladder. I could see playoffs.
They're a solid team.
They need to stay healthy, though.
They are a solid team. Yeah, that's big for every team. But look, you got Dalvin Cook. He's still there. You still got Dalvin Cook. He's going to be one of the top backs at the end of the season. You got that dynamic duo of Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen, and we talked about and then they got Jalen Reagor. They are just they're just a solid team in my opinion. And I don't know why I just had like a brain fart. Jeez.
But the Vikings, people usually say they're a solid team and then they like underperform. Or what if Kirk Cousins doesn't have a good season?
See, last year they struggled down the stretch, and I think that's the big thing with them.
And then it's going to be
it has to be a complete show for them.
And then it's going to be like, why is Kirk Cousins getting paid that much?
Well, they're going to ask that anyway. If you don't get a ring and you're getting paid that money, they're going to ask that. So every quarterback outside of Patrick Mahomes is going to be asked why they don't win anything, because Tom Brady takes a pay cut because he doesn't need the money.
Yeah. His
But
wife makes all the money.
She does. But yeah, it's this is going to be an interesting season for the Vikings. I think their defense last year was atrociously bad, and that's part of the reason I think Cousins had to put up the numbers he did to keep the Vikings even in games, because their defense let them down a lot last year. We can blame Cousins for a lot of stuff, but he was statistically one of the best quarterbacks last year and constantly had to play from behind. So it was tough. It was tough. If their defense isn't better this year, which I just looking at it, I don't know how. I mean, they can't get much worse. So I think that's the key for them. But I still think they're a playoff team. I don't think they're a team that makes it run. But that Cousins' contract's going to come up all the time, and all season long. Which it happens when you get paid that money and you don't have a Super Bowl ring, you're going to get questioned. So. I think I've covered the Vikings. I think we've covered the Vikings. I don't know what you think.
I agree with you, but I mean, if they underperform, and I think it can go either way. They have a good, solid season, make it to the playoffs, or they hiccup and stumble on the way and just miss the playoffs by a game or two. I could see it going either way.
Yeah, and that's what happened last year. So yeah, I agree with you. I think that's really the only two paths for them this year. Yep, agreed. But I have them in second place because I think the other two teams, which we're probably not going to talk much about, are in much worse shape than the Minnesota Vikings.
The Chicago Bears 6-11 last season, and they signed quarterback Trevor Siemian. Obviously, Justin Fields, which that O-line needs to protect the hell out of him.
And they won't.
Probably not.
They didn't really get better.
Do we? I mean, Khalil Mack got traded to the Chargers. Akeem Hicks to the Bucs. Allen Robinson to the Rams. Marquise Goodwin to the Seahawks.
They were 6-11 last year.
No, I say they do worse this year.
Yeah, I don't see them getting any better.
I will make a bold prediction.
Okay.
The Lions beat the Bears twice.
I could see that. The Lions were competitive in games last year, in several games.
Yeah.
They just were poor.
Do we really need to touch on the Bears?
No.
Okay.
Let's just skip the end.
So let's talk about the Lions for a second.
Sure.
Hard Knocks is with the Lions this year.
Mm-hmm.
Dan Campbell has a lot of heart. He wants this team to win.
He's not a good football coach, though. But I'll touch on that.
Why do you think that?
He just What skills does he bring to the table? He's good at saying really odd cliches about like eating kneecaps and whatnot, and it's like, okay, that's like, okay, he's very entertaining. I'll
Did
give
you
him
watch
that.
Hard Knocks?
No, I didn't watch it this year. I've seen clips and stuff online.
Yeah.
Like
He's emotional.
yeah. He needs
And
to get emotional because he knows if they fail this season, he's probably gonna be gone. Which looking at their roster, I just don't. There's nothing here.
Yeah.
There's nothing here, man.
I actually saw a YouTube video. I didn't know. Dan Campbell played for the Lions.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He was a pretty decent NFL player.
Yeah. But
Jared Goff this year, over under touchdowns. Let's see. Let's pick a number. Let's say 24. Over under 24.
under.
Really? Yeah, because who's he going to be thrown to? DJ Chark, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
There's really not much there.
I think Jared Goff's career, unless he gets out of Detroit, might be over. This might be the last stop, unless he requests a trade out or
he
something.
could find himself in a Matt Ryan situation where you go from a team that's just a mess and you can go into a team that was really just one piece away. They needed the quarterback, which is becoming more and more common, apparently. So I don't have much to say about the Lions. I do think, I do think they finished third this year. I think the Bears are the worst team in that division.
I say the Lions, they won't make it to the playoffs, obviously.
They'll improve, though. And they can't get
They
much
will
worse.
improve. I say 6-win team.
That's fair. I think that's fair.
6-win team.
6-win team.
That's a fair assumption.
That defense is bad, though.
Then I'll say why 6 wins. Because of the heart of Dan Campbell. He's going to coach this team and get them a couple wins, help them to a couple wins.
When your name is Dan, there's such a high bar. And it's automatically going to be, you're automatically going to meet that if your name is Dan. What are you going to do? It's hard.
Are you just saying that because your name's Dan?
My name's not Dan. It is. Yes, I am. How did you know? You're supposed to play along with a bit, Kirby. Come on. I think that's a good way to leave it.
That's a great way to leave it. We took you through all the divisions, our previews, and that can only mean one more thing. Football starts. Let's go!
Woo!
Yes.
Football!
Football is coming back. It is the Bills and the Rams on Thursday. I have not decided. You might not be available, but if I have nothing going on, right down here, a live watch party. The Bills and the Rams hoisting the banner. What a great way to ring in the new football year.
Let's roll, man.
If I'm not busy, because a lot of stuff's on the plate, on the agenda for me, but it's all in fun, and just great stuff. But I'm looking forward to football being back.
I'm excited. Yeah, just watching college football, unfortunately, the last couple of days. And I'm just like, I love college, but there's something about the NFL that's just like
how in the heck
watching all day.
How in the heck does UNC keep it that close to Appalachian State? I'm sorry.
It's weird, man.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have
a prayer for Virginia Tech football.
Yeah, because Dan witnessed that, and I heard it on the radio that Tech lost to ODU again. And Justin Fuente was probably sitting on his couch laughing if he wasn't employed.
I'm sure he's fine because he got all that money in the buyout, or he still got a good bit of money when he got released from the team.
Probably so. If we had more time, we'd dive into some of these college games.
It's been going too long today.
We've been going way too long. Dan, it's been a blast here in studio, okay? A lot of fun. Let's do it more this season.
Let's do it.
Let's do it a lot more.
Sounds good.
Once again, the Kirby on Sports podcast, www.kirbyonsports.com. You can find us on all streaming platforms and all social media platforms. Big thanks to our sponsors, PM Plus Reserves, Shenandoah Primitives, Dr. Dave Leadership Corporation, and Mark Francis with Icon Real Estate, because without the support of our sponsors, the Kirby on Sports podcast would not be where it is today. Without the weapon, Dan Dembski, Carlos Martinez, who cannot be here with us. It's going to be a fun season in any capacity. with the Kirby on Sports podcast, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure you are as well, Dan. Carlos could not be with us. We wish him all the best, and hopefully he will be back with us within the next week or two. But until then, you have seen us, you have heard us, and until the next time you see us or hear us, always remember to create greatness. We say so long, and we say peace out.